All right, good evening. This is Ken of Tortoise Capital Nightly Strategy Podcast, abbreviated for May 18th, 2022. So we'll start with today's market health check. As we talked about this possibility yesterday, strong rejection of the PSAR on the top of the dragon with a gap down back to Z minus 1, and then a harsh directional sell off, almost a 4% sell off. And then with a weak close under 400 at 390, looks like 392. So a large range day, settling within a hair's breadth of the 5-day, 10-day, 30-day, and 150-day low. A wide 5-day range. Short-term momentum is down. All of the other indicators are down. We're almost 18.5% off the swing high, and looking weak for tomorrow. In the sectors, had the market off 4%. The Qs were the only of the major indexes weaker at 4.91. Diamonds and the Russell were off 3.5%. Emerging markets were less damaged at 2.4. Treasuries were up 2%. The big winners in terms of the sectors. So the sectors that did better, we'll take a look at that first. Wood, marijuana, oil exploration, only down 3.9. Moonshots, materials, Brazil, Bitcoin, real estate, finance, energy, agriculture, Mexico, and wheat and precious metals only down 2.4. Oil itself 2.25. Blended commodities 2.2. Clean energy, lithium down 1.8. Only the VIX and treasuries were in the green for today. The outperforming targets, the best was the VIX at 5%, Rivian off 0.7, Squarespace, PayPal, and Robinhood, that financial disruptor, is around 3.2. And then Devon Energy and Bakkt were just marginally better than the S&P. The sectors that were worse, the other lumber, 4.12, Arc Innovation, 4.5, Tech, Arc Genomics, and Blockchain, 4.67, S&P Biotech, Blended Large Cap Crypto, Global Future Finance, the FANGs, off 5.5%, Commercial Real Estate down 5.9, Ethereum 6%, Staples, and the food got hit pretty hard this week or today. Even that was no safe haven. 6.4, S&P discretionary 6.5. Biggest targets that were losers today. Target losses: Coinbase off 10%, Tesla 6.8 to close just a hair above 700, Cliff 6.2, Apple 5.6, U.S. Steel 5%, Microsoft 4.75, Alcoa 4.5. Oh, no safe spaces. Here was the trade of the day. So Walmart was the number one Godzilla setup yesterday, and so we hypothesized. There's the close. This is on 1-minute charts. This is where it closed yesterday, and we had our 50-cent bracket around that. There was a gap down, so we bracketed that with our 50-cent minimum manageable risk box, the R10 bracket. It immediately sold off, left the bracket, so we get short with a 50-cent risk. It immediately, in about 10 minutes, gets to Z3, holds for a moment. At this point, we notice a couple important things. The MACD histogram is selling off harshly all the way through here, is temporarily pausing in its decay, but it stays below the zero line. The signal line itself is coming into the station. So this is a short-term decision point for Walmart and for the market. So we're about 3 hour ahead. You could decide to cash. You certainly would tighten your stop. But you also might do what we did, since we see the rest of the whole market getting smoked. What you do is you bring your stop in tight, and then you say, let me just go ahead and take another short right here before it collapses. Then if I lose on 2 positions, I'm all out at the red. It's a fractional loss, negligible. But if this resumes the move downward, then I'm large and in charge. So we did that here. It sells off immediately afterwards, comes into the same kind of station, is rolling over with the MACD. It barely got above the 0 line and is now starting to get weak. So we do the same thing. Add a 3rd position, put a tight stop in there, and it immediately crashes more. It runs all the way down to 126.60, by which time we got filled at 122.50. So that short at about 128, covering the first position after a move of 5.5. So that's 11R on the first position. So the total net's around 20 if you get all 3 positions in. And then there's more coming, because now in the yellow box we're playing for a move in either direction. Now that looks pretty orderly, but the real money today was in the foods, which were also in Godzilla. Here's Conagra on 1 minute, gap down, the standard 20-cent minimum manageable risk box based on its range stat, and that thing never looks back. So you're short at around 35. You could reasonably cover around 32.5. So that's a $2.5 move. I'm sorry, $3.5 move. No, 2.5. Yeah, $2.5 move on a 20-cent risk. That's Conagra. That's General Mills, same thing. That's Hormel, same thing. Coca-Cola, same thing. So that's what we did today. While the market is suffering, the Godzilla moves were in a rage of goodness. Let's take a quick look at the reports for today. Get set up for tomorrow. You want to pay attention to Godzilla in a bear volatile market, I'll tell you that. There's our market health check, which we've covered. Here's our dashboard number 1. Bearish volatile, getting murdered everywhere. Risk off is the indicator in risk Z. Plenty of auto framers, but you're not thinking about swing trading. What you're thinking about are going short these that are failing, because they have the highest payoff to the downside as well as the upside. Same thing in the tactical ETFs. Today's range was so large that you're not getting all of them with favorable reward to risk for using range risk, but you can trade intraday with that R10 boxes we've been teaching in the sniper and be very, very happy. Seeing the weakness in tech. Tech and staples got smoked. Discretionary got smoked. Standard layouts for the auto framer. Again, all of these at the top are the ones that are the furthest away from their 10-day high. So if this was a market that was resuming, you could get a favorable reward. But in a down market, those are the ones that when they fail, you want to get on top of them and help push them down. So that's why Walmart is again at the top of our list as a target, as is Tesla and Microsoft, U.S. Steel, and Cliff. Can't miss. Nothing squeezed tighter than 2-to-1 on the intraday squeeze. So that's a large range day. Here's all your Godzilla frames. Number one in the S&P 500, Walmart, almost 5 sigma of adverse volatility. Target, Costco, amazing. Twitter, Bed Bath & Beyond, Home Depot, Walgreens, Nike, Starbucks. Godzilla, King of the Monsters, he's your friend in these kinds of moves. Only NRG was in the fireworks mode, where it's near the top of its weekly, daily, and tactical trading range and is more than one, greater than one standard deviation above average in terms of 5-day volatility. These fence sitters are the ones that are within a tight middle range of their look-back periods and then are either extremely noisy and rocking or very quiet and ready to fall in either direction. In the S&P 500, these are the most quiet in terms of 5-day volatility. These are their Z-scores. And so these are the ones that, if the market were to heal here, you would expect these guys to already become favorable because they are resisting the panic selling. So, things like Johnson & Johnson and VeriSign, for example. And this is sorted by the Z-score. And then a repeat of your Godzilla targets. The R10 standard intraday minimum manageable risk box for those taking advantage of the intraday volatility. This is the symbol set for our standard, boot camp targets, the ones that we've looked at already. And I have that sorted by the change percentage, so you can find. So if you might be thinking about these top shelf ones for continuation to the upside, and these on the bottom for resumption of the pain and suffering. Being dominated in MACD by the winter, no surprise there. Only Treasuries and Merck standing out by being in the summer. No joy anywhere except in Treasuries on the 2-day, and then you can see a handful of defensive plays and energy plays on the 10-day, but otherwise just misery everywhere else you look. This was the failure of the upside move today. We're 2 sigma negative on the slope of the RL30, but this is getting near a tension point. But notice that it's rolling over, didn't cross, so there could be much more pain and suffering on the downside. All right, that's everything from the daily report. Take a quick look at I'm not going to do much detail coaching. It's getting late, but see how the boys did today. Wojcik up 2R with the WMB3. We're working on reducing the grinding in between the big moves by being a little more patient and judicious. Tim was up early. He finished up strong. He got a little too grindy in the middle here. Still got some work to do on patience and target selection. Standard trade of the day, I've already covered those in Walmart. 1R on the collapsing dragon and SSC in Brazil from Griff. Good scratch, got paid. We would see the Kata 2 is going to pick up all those. Phil had his best trading day ever today. This is one where we've got to get short right in here. That collapsing dragon, that little shelf right there, you got to catch that one. This is for the same reason that this is good when it breaks below there like a CD. You want to be able to get this in here same way, and then you get this. But that's a good cover. This was a good way to not lose. Here's Boeing. He does get that move with a beautiful stop and reverse here. This was a shot worth taking. And then as soon as it fails, I think you got to be getting out in here. rather than waiting for this. But that's a great stop and reverse, and another good reentry. Being disciplined to wait for it to break below that low, and then got paid reasonably. I think in here, it's tempting to stay in it because you're seeing lower lows, even though on each bar it's fighting its way back up to the top. So when you got out, it was a combination broke out higher than that shelf and had a clearly higher low. So that's a good way to get paid right there. I like that. This was a good short. There was a reentry in here, I think right around in here. That's a good reentry. A little unlucky. Just stay with it, and I'd take that short again. But that's a nice 2.1, so almost 5R for the day. Here's Arch up almost 5 for the day, and much better work here on the Aussie. Supported winter cross, so he gives this one a try. Quick reversal when it breaks below the PSAR, and he's got the PSAR flip. This would be really tempting for a second position in here when it breaks below Z2. Good cover. Good effort on the long side. Better stop and reverse. This is waiting way too long to cash. When it comes down here, runs back, runs down, and then doesn't fail further out of Z2, I think you got to get that somewhere in here before it gets across the dragon. That would improve that score a little better. Reasonable effort. I would like to see you get out of that sooner. Stop and reverse sooner. That should be a scratch. This is a great reversal. Good scratch. Good entry. Missed a... you're away from the desk. Otherwise, this would be a natural place to get short. And we've seen Wojcik for 1.9. So really good work. We did a separate one tonight when I was at the soccer game with brother Bill, who was gave a quick demo and talk through of the snipers. We'll get that published and posted as well. So we'll be ready for tomorrow. More Godzillas and no overnight risk. No overnight risk. Take advantage of the opportunity that's there. That's everything I got for us. Take good care. We will see you in the room tomorrow.